there is this one French woman who always follows Pope Francis around. I should tell you she works for the press. And whenever His Holiness is holding a press conference and the Pope says, "Now are there any questions?" this woman, time after time, always asks the same question. She always says, "Your Holiness, could you make celibacy optional for the priests?" Now, our Holy Father is a very, very patient man, because I've never heard him respond harshly to this repeated question. And he is also a very clever man, because I am amazed at how many different ways he has come up with to basically say the word no. Late last year, when asked that question, Pope Francis cited his predecessor, Paul VI. Now, remember, Pope Paul, you all are like me, you're too young to remember Pope Paul, but Pope Paul approved Mass in English. He approved turning the altar around, right? When people started receiving communion in the hand, he said, okay, we'll tolerate that, right? He stopped wearing that big papal crown. So Pope Paul was not afraid of change, right? He was not, we're going to do things exactly the way they've always been done. He was not afraid of change. But when Pope Paul was asked about priestly celibacy, his response was, Pope Francis quoted him again, he said, "I would rather die than give up priestly celibacy." Telling. Last February, I was in the basement, the crypt of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, where many former popes are buried. And I soon found Pope Paul VI, and I knelt down, and I thanked him for that statement, which has strengthened our current Pope amid our troubles. And I renewed my own promise of celibacy, and I asked Pope Paul to continue to pray for me that I can stay faithful. Okay, I won't call on anyone, but how many times have you heard a homily about priestly celibacy? I'm guessing it would not take you 2 hands to count, if even 1 finger. So I thought today I would share some thoughts with you. Now remember, whole books have been written on this topic, so I am definitely not claiming to be exhaustive. As a child, I remember asking a teacher why our priests are not married. And the teacher said, "Oh, our priests are not married so that we don't have to put more money in the collection basket. If they each had a wife and children, we would have to give more." Bad reason, right? What if I asked you men who are married, why are you married? And what if your response was, I'm married so that I don't have to pay a cook? Not a satisfying answer for you or your spouse, right? Economics can never explain a vocation. Here's a better reason. Heaven is a wedding feast. We are all called to show the beauty of that feast in different ways. For example, I love attending wedding receptions, right? It's a little bit of heaven, right? I find myself, at least in every wedding reception I attend, thinking, I could do this forever. But you know what I've noticed? They all end. the party does not last forever. My vocation, the celibate vocation, is a walking reminder that there is another party coming, a better one, and one that's not going to end. About 4 years ago, a good friend of mine and a mentor of mine, Father Edward Sizer, died. He was not yet 60, so it was quite unexpected and tragic. But the reading at his funeral was our second reading today, the one from the book of Revelation. I was sitting there at the funeral and I heard the phrase, "I saw the holy city, a new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband." And at that moment it hit me. Father Edward now gets to see his bride, my bride, in all her beauty. I'm not going to lie, I started bawling. Brothers and sisters, may Christ, the divine bridegroom, lead all of us, married and celibate, to the never-ending wedding feast.